Hello my students of class 8. Today we will start chapter 7, Rise of British Power in Bengal. But before I proceed, let me tell you that the European merchants from Portugal, Denmark, England and France established trading centers all over India to make huge profits by selling Indian goods abroad. Conflicts over business domination were quite common during that time. The English and the French dominated this race for supremacy in trade. Clear? Now let's talk about the English East India Company. In 1600 CE, a small group of British merchants established the English East India Company. The Queen of England, Elizabeth I, granted the company exclusive right to trade with the East. In the year 1615, Sir Thomas Roe, the British ambassador, came to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. He convinced Jahangir to grant the English East India Company few privileges. Jahangir gave many trading concessions to the company. Soon, trading centers came up in Surat, Agra, Ahmednagar and Bhuj. In the year 1639, the English East India Company established their first trading settlement in Madras. They fortified this place and named it Fort St. George. Now, what is the term fortification mean? Fortification is a strong wall or building that is used to defend against any attack. Clear? Now, in 1688, Bombay became the chief settlement of the British. Then, in 1690, the British trading settlement was established in Calcutta. They built a fort at this place and called it Fort William after the name of reigning English king William III. In this way, Madras, Bombay and Calcutta became the headquarters of the British settlements in the southern, western and eastern regions. These headquarters were known as presidencies. Like the British, the French also came to India as traders, but the real motive was to become the ruler of India. The French East India Company was formed in the year 1664 and its headquarters was in Pondicherry. Now let's talk about the Anglo-French rivalry. The English and the French were rivals in the struggle for commercial supremacy in India. The main center of Anglo-French conflict was Coromandel Coast. The Coromandel Coast was renamed Karnat by the British, and so this war was known as the Carnatic War. The British and the French fought 3 Carnatic wars in India to establish their supremacy. The outcome of the 3 Carnatic wars saw the British establish their political influence over the Carnatic. In 1762, French domination in India came to an end, and thus their dream to build an Indian empire was totally shattered in the Third Carnatic War. The English East India Company was now freed of all European rivals, and it was a big boost to the British and their imperialist ventures in India. Now let's talk about the rise of British power in Bengal. Bengal in the 18th century was the richest and the most fertile province in India. It became a profitable center for trade and commerce of the European trading companies. In the year 1717, the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shah granted the British revenue-free trade license in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Companies' employees misused this sanction and conducted private business without paying taxes. In 1756, the Nawab of Bengal, Alivardi Khan, died. Then his grandson Sirajuddaulah became the Nawab of Bengal. From the very beginning, Sirajuddaulah disliked the British. He ordered them to pay taxes to him like all other Indian merchants. The British refused to do so, and this angered the young Nawab. Around this time, the Anglo-French hostilities took off in the Deccan, and both parties started building forts in Bengal. When the Nawab said no to this, the French listened, but the British went on with the fortification. To teach the British a lesson, Siraj marched towards Calcutta with a large army and captured Fort William in June 1756. After hearing this news, Robert Clive, the hero of Arcot, arrived from Madras with a strong military force and recaptured Calcutta by January 1757. Then the Nawab was forced to sign the Treaty of Alinagar with the British. He had to allow the victorious British to conduct tax-free trade and concede the right to fortify Calcutta. Now we will talk about the Battle of Plassey. The British wanted to replace Sirajuddaulah with a puppet ruler. Around this time, a plot to dethrone Siraj was hatched by some of the influential men in the Nawab's court. They conspired to put Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of Nawab's forces, on the throne. At their invitation, British Governor Robert Clive became a partner in this scheme. The conspirators promised that Mir Jafar would grant a lot of money and business privileges to the company. On 23rd June 1757, Sirajuddaulah fought a battle with the British at the fields of Plassey. That is known in history as the Battle of Plassey. Mir Jafar, who was the army general, betrayed the Nawab, and Siraj lost the battle and his life too. Now, Mir Jafar was proclaimed as the new Nawab of Bengal. The Battle of Plassey holds a crucial place in the history of India. The British placed Mir Jafar on the throne of Bengal as a puppet Nawab, and the British became the virtual rulers. This Battle of Plassey put the British on a way to setting up their empire in India. Their business monopoly was established as well. The British now ran tax-free business and drove away all other foreign merchants from Bengal. The company now restored to exploit the wealth of Bengal in many ways. This is referred to as the Plassey plunder. Now, when Mir Jafar was unable to meet the demands of the British, they deposed him and they made his son-in-law Mir Qasim the new Nawab of Bengal. Mir Qasim rewarded the company by granting it the zamindari of the districts of Bardhaman, Midnapur and Chittagong. The British Trading Company had successfully transformed itself into kingmakers.